We love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
Heath Oaks is a millennial mogul whose ignorance on fire led him to fail his way to success. Jenny Anchondo is an Emmy award-winning journalist whose sharp eye and biting wit have led to her storied career in television. Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only an odd couple with a dash of perfect opposite can. So kick back, relax, and join the conversation. This is Second Shot with your hosts, Heath and Jenny.
Hello, Second Shooters. Good to see you. I'm Jenny Anchondo. Good to connect with you if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, or maybe you're watching the video on YouTube or on Facebook. Let me just tell you, seeing me like this is not how we originally intended this. In fact, we did a dynamite episode for you in studio, a socially distanced version, and wouldn't you know it, I guess that was just not what you were supposed to hear because, you know, as things happen, there was a technical issue and it didn't get recorded. It's no one's fault. We have all been there, haven't we? We've all been there. So we don't have that first segment, but I am happy to say that by some miracle, the second segment of Second Shot was captured. So let me just lay the scene here for you. Ron Corning is filling in with me and interviewing this guest with me, and we are teasing ahead to a very exciting project that we have coming up together here in Dallas, and something that everybody across the country is going to be able to connect to as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to give away the goods, but if you know Ron Corning, or if you've been in Dallas media for any amount of time, or even national media, you are familiar with him and familiar with his name. And so I'm very excited about the collaboration. Part of this collaboration involves this podcast that so many of you have really supported in such a special way, and that is not lost on me. That is not lost on Heath. So we look forward to getting the band all back together very, very soon to do our Second Shot thing. In the meantime, here's the second segment with a guest who I have known for, most of my life, and who has some really valuable information for you. And then at the end, you'll get the news that we were referencing. All right, here it is. Thanks, you guys. Welcome back in. Second segment of Second Shot. And as promised, we're just trying to give everybody a second shot at their business. We know that if you are a business owner, or maybe even thinking about starting a business and kind of up-leveling your game, doing a side hustle, we are here for that. So the founder of Operation Reputation is Rick McNeely. He has OperationReputation.com and GetFoodReviews.com. This is a marketing and technology company that helps companies manage their online reviews. He has got it all figured out online. Welcome in, Rick McNeely.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Hello. Okay, and Ron is here too. So we're going to both just kind of go back and forth and chat with you and just try to get some answers. So what does this even mean, social proof? You talk a lot about social proof. What does that mean for people who are used to maybe doing a business that isn't online?
Well, you know, if you look back to this first segment, we're talking about judgment, right? And what social proof is judgment. And it's the community at large that is weighing in on your company using online reviews. So, you know, you can go onto Google. If we were going out to lunch and we were going to pick out a local restaurant, maybe a barbecue place, and we went on there and we looked at the reviews that they had on Google, and we saw how the community at large, you know, views that company. So that's social proof, and it's really, really important, you know, especially in this post, phased release of business after the virus. Is there's going to be people talking about, you know, just what we talked about in the first segment, is how companies are dealing. If you're a restaurant, with the social distancing and the cleanliness. So there's going to be a big conversation held online, and you know, most businesses, you're going to want to be involved in that, or else somebody's going to control the dialogue for you, and that's not good.
Have you seen, Rick, during this pandemic, some restaurants that made that pivot? I know that word's so overused at this point, pivot, but they made that pivot. They hadn't been in the delivery business or the takeout business, and they did it for the sake of survival. Have you seen in the reviews that customers are giving businesses a little more latitude of forgiveness for a misstep because we're all sort of finding our way?
Well, yeah, I have. First of all, people are very grateful about it, and most people are really gracious. You've always got that small, 10% that is going to, try to poke holes in anything, no matter how good it is. So I think the moral of the story is the smart companies, my clients, they are involved in the conversation. But there's a lot of companies that just let that go. They don't get involved in their online reviews, and so it's that small 10% that are out poking holes in their operation. And you got to get on top of it and get out there. And if you don't employ somebody like my agency, do it yourself. Get in the conversation, and you don't want to argue with anybody online, but you want to defend your brand and also take what they say to heart, because with a lot of the reviews, there's always a grain of truth in there that you can use to make your company stronger.
Well, and sometimes don't you have it happen where you look at the reviews and you see some stuff and nobody's responding, and it makes you think that the business doesn't care.
It's interesting you say that. I have found myself when traveling and looking at reviews that you're always going to have a certain number of bad reviews because the restaurant's maybe having a bad night or they've got a grumpy customer. Like I have a friend who, it doesn't matter how good it is, he finds something to find fault with. That one. I am more inclined, if a business, let's say all things being equal, A and B, business A, business B, if the owner or manager of that restaurant in a polite way is responding to a customer's complaint and saying, this doesn't sound like how we would have handled the situation. I'd love to hear more. I will get to the source of it. Please come back. Or they're offering, I'm much more inclined to say, I'm going to give that business a try because they care if something goes wrong.
Totally. And so, Rick, is that what your business does? Do you guys manage it for people, or are you encouraging the owners to kind of go in on on themselves? Now I'm filling in for Heath. This is my
channeling Heath.
Somebody's got to butcher the English language, and it's going to be me today.
I'll take a stab at it next.
So they're going in there and checking the reviews. Is that sort of the best advice, or is there something more that the businesses can do?
Yeah, we do it either way. We have a concierge type service to where we do everything. We put together your strategy, we learned your brand voice so we can speak like you'd want your company to speak to the online audience. But we also provide just our technology to where if you want to do it yourself, you can use our technology to ask for more reviews, to manage them on our dashboard, and then also use them to market. So we can accommodate however you want to engage us as an agency. But it's funny when you talk about how people respond to reviews or don't respond to online reviews. I think the one thing that aside from just not being part of the conversation and not getting on the review, is that companies that only respond to good reviews and then they let the bad reviews sit. I mean, that's even worse, because then they're telling somebody who has a legitimate complaint or some sort of complaint that, no, I'm not going to talk to you. So, we really formalize how they respond and do a little coaching if they want to do it themselves.
How impossible is it? Because there was a time when a Yelp review was nearly impossible to get removed, even if you had evidence that somebody had an axe to grind and it was a false review. How does a business owner manage that when so much weight is put on a Google or a Yelp review and those reviews are really difficult to get scrubbed?
Ooh, good question.
That really is a good question. And I think then you have to bear in mind a couple things. One, you can't flag the review. Yelp is kind of hit and miss on it, but I've got, over the years, we've been able to get some reviews off, and it's how you approach it. You study Yelp's terms and conditions, and you look sort of like a legal strategy at how you can say that review doesn't meet their terms and conditions and ask to have it removed by flagging it. So that works sometimes. Then the other thing that businesses have to do is they have to remember that the audiences they're speaking to. So not only by responding to that review are you talking to who wrote the review, you're also talking to the general public and your employees, and how you respond to it. So there's a lot of ways to go to diffuse the review and really, make it appear to the general public, that you're proactive as a business, that maybe it's not true. You can challenge them a little bit, depending, how bad it is, but to really, go head on with it if you can't get it offline. And then most importantly, don't engage in the argument, on an online platform.
Have you ever checked out Glassdoor? Have you ever checked out Glassdoor?
Yes.
There can be some scathing reviews on there about bosses and workplace culture. And
it's like, how is this legal? Multiple people are reporting the same thing. Like, what? Can companies get into their glass door? Well, okay, first of all, don't be jerks at work and you won't get bad glass door reviews.
Remember in our business, though, TVspy.com early on had a chat area where you could post topics and then people could sound off. They eventually disabled that, but it was a similar thing. If you were going to a local TV station and you wanted to know, or you were interviewing for a job and you posted something there, you would get the dirt. And themes do emerge, and you have to decide for yourself, could that many people have the same experience and be in cahoots, or is that really a reflection of the organization?
And then if you're me in the TV business, you say, I'm just trying to get a job. I'm going there anyway.
I'm going anyway. Jenny's like, I'm going to change it.
Send me to Kennewick, Washington.
I am the change agent. I know you have no equipment to work with, and everybody's unhappy, but I'm going to show up and be a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think. Can businesses, Rick, get into their Glassdoor reviews?
Well, now you're into I don't want to say a slippery slope, but the dark side of the business, right? And in the case of I won't do anybody by name, but if you subscribe to their advertising program, if you buy a deluxe membership as a business, that gives you greater access to combating bad reviews or having some sort of influence over it. Do I have any proof of that? No, but in the past at companies I've worked for in marketing, we have, found that they're a little more gracious.
Are you saying Glassdoor can be bought? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say that at all.
I did. And you didn't refute it.
I didn't.
I think that's what he said.
Oh, Rick McNeely. Okay, now that we've done the interview, I can kind of tell everybody. I've known Rick McNeely for almost like my whole life. He is in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, my hometown. But that's the beauty of a podcast, is we can get podcast guests from all over the world. So, Rick, thank you. I thought this was his first podcast. Apparently, he's done multiple before this. Oh. But go ahead.
He told me he was a podcast virgin.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I'm going to check out reviews on this guy and see if he tells everybody the same thing.
He bought out iTunes. I knew it. Rick, go ahead and give everybody your website where they can find you if they're a business and thinking, you know what, I want my reputation on point, but I don't have time to do it. I need to get on Rick's platform. Give them all the info for that.
OperationReputation.com. Really easy. Just get on there. You can learn more about us on the site. Fill out a form, give us a call. I don't charge for talking to you on the phone, and I love to talk about online marketing and your company and how we can help you be more successful.
Or, Rick, if the steady stream of bad reviews are true, clean up your act.
Yeah, really.
That.
And be a better business owner.
That. Rick, thank you. Say hi to Ellen for me. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was so fun.
He knows Ellen?
He knows the Ellen.
Is it the Ellen?
No, but it's the Ellen in my life.
It's the Ellen.
Yes,
it's your
it's
only
the Ellen that the Anchondos know. So it is the Ellen.
When you say Ellen with first word only, it's like Cher. You think it's DeGeneres. That's just me.
I know. You guys, we're doing a real quick question of the week, rapid fire. We've been doing some really deep questions of the week, and I just want to lighten the load a little bit. Think of something fun.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
We're going to go back to Pollyanna from the beginning of the show. I'm going to ask, what's the best thing that's happened to you this week? And I will start out with, we're going to talk about this new job. And I found out that there is a woman at work who cooks lunches for you for $10. And that is the best thing to happen to me.
Wow.
Really, for the last 10 years, maybe.
Also because we're now working in a food desert.
Yes, we're totally in a food desert.
I mean, getting a sandwich off John Carpenter Freeway at CW33 is like a challenge on Amazing Race or Survivor.
It's like $100 on Uber Eats to get one sandwich. It is
so
brutal.
I can see why that would be the best moment of the week for you. I almost share that with you. It's a tie. My favorite moment of the week is this one right here. Because you and I haven't had our moment yet to just do our thing.
To celebrate. Okay, well, let Zach and Matt get their favorite moments, and then we'll tell you guys the big news we've been waiting for.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go.
Enthusiasm?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll go, I guess.
No, I've talked about it a little bit on this show. I have a very a very cool freelance project that I've been working on, and this week I delivered the last of the first series that we're doing. It represents dozens and dozens of hours of work, and I was so glad, not happy to put it behind me, but just happy to have crossed that threshold. And now we're waiting to hear back on a few things, but hopefully it'll be released to you soon. There is a promo out, which I talked about a little bit 2 weeks ago. So go find that. But yeah, I'm very, very happy to have been able to tie a little bow on that, and came out great.
We're celebrating wins. Okay,
Yes.
I love that you are celebrating that. Zach, what's your win of the week? What's the best thing that's happened over in that isolated but well-decorated world of yours?
Thanks, Jenny. My win of the week actually goes out to my parents, who celebrated their 36th anniversary yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
And I
Wow.
didn't know about it. And I talked to my dad for a half hour. I didn't say anything, and then got on Facebook right after and was like, "Oh, it's your anniversary today! Wow, son of the year over here." But happy
Millennial
anniversary,
life.
Mom and Dad. Yeah.
That's amazing. They're winning at marriage, 36
Thank
years.
goodness for that Facebook. You know, it's interesting. My mom passed away this year, and when I was at her home and going through things, I loved to see her handwriting in a notebook where she'd put down everybody's birthday and anniversary, like people we'd met when we traveled, cards that she'd sent to people. And now what do? We get on Facebook and like, whose birthday is it
Yeah,
today? So I
happy
don't miss.
birthday.
There was a time when. Yeah.
What a special woman, though, that she did that. I know some women like that, and they're always very unique because they know, like that tender heart knows the other tender heart that will mean so much to them to get a card.
It was always
Yeah.
so important to her to acknowledge those moments
Yeah.
for people. Yeah.
Well, I think she would be very proud of what you're doing now with this new project and how we're kind of doing this little collab, you guys.
We are.
I mean,
This collaboration, which has evolved over time. So essentially, Jenny and I both were in traditional TV. You were at Fox and I was at Channel 8. You're Fox 4, WFAA. And we'd met really only
just a couple of times.
but the very first time I met you, I hadn't been here very long. And your mother was the first one to approach me. And she said, "You have to meet my daughter." And then she said, "You both have to work together."
It was so weird.
This
you
is
guys.
2012. She said this in
Like,
2012.
Very creepy. Not creepy. My mom's not creepy. But I mean, it was like, Mom, stop it. He's got a job. I've got a job. Sit down.
And years later, through a series of things which were serendipitous and not of our own making at all, we've now teamed up where we're taking our podcast, because I have a podcast called Morning After, and you have Second Shot, and we're mashing them up. It's quite a job. We're mashing them up. It's a hot mash.
It's a hot mash, you guys. So we're going to be on the CW weekday mornings at 10 a.m. The show is called Morning After. You'll see it in your listings. In fact, it's already up now.
However, Second Shot is a thread and an integrated part of the show. So in that way, it's a mashup.
Yeah.
But we thought both of the titles, in their own interesting way, really represented this new era that we're starting post-pandemic. As we yell at each other at grocery stores, we're hoping that ends. But it's the morning after, a seismic shift in how we approach life, live our lives, value relationships. I think there's been a shift. I hope we don't have short memories. And Morning After represents that. So does Second Shot.
Yeah, we couldn't have come up with the title. I mean, the titles of these shows have been in place now for more than a year individually, and now it just is so cohesive for it all to come together. So we've been working behind the scenes together. You guys it's like this little baby we're about to put out into the world, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be unscripted. It's going to be very unlike any traditional TV program you've seen.
We hope. And it could be, you don't know. I mean, and this is true, it could be like a train wreck. You just can't turn away because we are launching it from scratch. And we're meshing our vision with the vision of the station. We're working with people we haven't worked with before. We're building a set that we hope represents who each of us is and what there's a lot to it. I've never been part of something so hands-on from the ground up.
And starting mid-pandemic, there are still colleagues that we're meeting for the first time.
It's true.
And people that we've never met, we've only met via Zoom. And I'm sure that some of you can relate to that too. People who started jobs, everybody starts jobs, different points of the year, started jobs and have never met your coworkers. So we feel you. It's super super weird, but it's going to be really fun. So if you're not in Dallas and you listen to the podcast and you'd like to see Morning After, it's going to be online, and I believe we'll be doing it from the Morning After Facebook page and then also CW33.com. We're still figuring that out.
Oh yeah, you'll
It's
know where we
everywhere.
are. We'll make sure that you know where we are. And this is the only local show that will be on at 10 a.m. on television, produced by the only locally owned television station in Dallas. Each of the stations is owned by a company that's headquartered somewhere else. CW33 is owned by Nexstar in Las Colinas, which now, by the way, is the largest owner of local television stations in the country. I sound like I'm their spokesperson, but I know these numbers off the top of my head. 197 television stations in 115 markets.
It's
or
literally as
117?
large as you're allowed to get.
Yeah.
It's
and,
as large and as impactful as you're allowed to get.
and
So
it's WGN in Chicago and KTLA in Los Angeles and really legendary storied stations. And so now CW33 is part of that family. So it's interesting to be a part of something in the CEO's backyard. So if we screw up, Jenny, he could be watching.
I mean, just no
hi, Perry.
pressure.
Mr.
Hello,
Perry Sook.
Perry. We're planning to get him on the show, by the way. That's a part of our grand master plan. He's just a remarkable businessman. So I think
Oh, a
that'll be
remarkable
fun.
story. Buys his first TV station in 1996. Was an on-air, I think he was sports. I should know this. But he's on the cover of DCEO magazine this month, and his story is really remarkable. How you go from owning one station 24 years ago to being the owner of the largest media group in America?
It is wild. He lives here. You better believe we're going to try to rope him in to get on this show. So, Ron, thank you for coming on. I'm excited
Thanks
for
for
this
having me,
project.
Jenny.
It's gonna,
I am too. I
It's
can't
going to be
wait.
a blast. Let everybody know where
We'd
they
like
can
to
find
say
you.
it's launching. We're going to try to launch it Monday.
We're going to try to launch it Monday.
If not, we'll say early June.
January,
Not
don't
January.
even.
Early June, just to cover our bases. But we're going to be in the studio rehearsing all weekend.
Yes. Okay. Where can everybody find you online?
It's just my name at Ron Corning on Instagram, on Facebook, and wherever else my name shows up. There's another Ron Corning in San Diego who works for Sony.
Do not follow
That's
him.
not me.
They do not follow him. You guys, I am at Jenny Anchondo. We are excited to start seeing you with Second Shot. Second Shot. We got to end the show. Second Shot as a part of Morning After.
Usually one is enough of
Ooh,
those.
go ahead and leave us a review. It better be 5 stars or we're getting Operation Reputation to come
We're gonna
after
fix
you. We'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, is it my turn?
Have at it.
At Apple Zackintosh on Twitter and Instagram. I'm still doing my movie podcast, Off Script Film Review. If you want to know when theaters are opening back up and when you can go see movies again, check us out on iTunes. Facebook.com/group/Second Shot. Come join the conversation. Check out Morning After. It'll be a good time.
Zach, where you at? Matt, where you at?
I'm at Matt Stoker 1 on Instagram. That's the numeral 1. You can also find me right here at Second Shot and also on the Second Shot Facebook group. So go join that. And again, like I said, True Crime Reporter. Go look it up. It's going to be very exciting. Coming soon, hopefully.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support of the show and for following us through this journey. And we'll see you next time.